nas agulhas chacheré.
My mom is from Oaxaca. My father is from San Andres, Oaxaca, and I was born in Oaxaca. I don't. I understand it. I come from the older school where it was like, my mom specifically told my grandparents not to teach me Zapotec, to only teach me Spanish, so that I wouldn't have the stigma of an Indian. I don't hold it against her because I don't think she knew that we were gonna move here to the States, so she just kind of had a Mexican upbringing for me in mind, and she wanted me to be born in the pueblo, kind of raised in the pueblo, but to grow up in the big cities, like Oaxaca City or Mexico City, and have a respectable profession and not speak Zapotec, just Spanish. So. It means that it opens up way more cultural doors for you because I know a couple of like Chicanos that speak Zapoteco and understand Zapoteco, and they have doors that are open to people like myself that don't speak Spanish. I mean, that don't speak Zapoteco, that are kind of closed off culturally. You know, it's like being part of the in circle. You know, so I think it's beautiful to be able to speak it, to understand it, and to have that part of your language. In general terms, we're all indigenous. You know, that whole conversation of everybody's from somewhere, so everybody's indigenous to something. But I mean, I guess in Mesoamerican terms, it's like somebody that was born in their land. They have a direct lineage to where their ancestry is from. You could be of like indigenous descent, but you might have been born like in Kaiser, you know, but your parents are like from Mexico or what have you. So, I mean, it's like, just because you were born in Kaiser, I guess that still kind of makes you indigenous because of your roots and your ancestry and your heritage, but you also have that Americanized upbringing, which kind of, it's part of the Americanization process, I guess. You eventually lose that and just become Americanized. But to be indigenous is to be like, yeah, just to know where you come from, like, to know exactly where your ancestry comes from. To me, I have like to me, Oaxaqueños have a very independent, almost privileged perspective on what it is to be indigenous, as opposed to like the Chicanismo that's taught in colleges, or that's like learned through like Chicano studies or Mexican studies, where it's kind of like this romanticized aspect of what it is to be indigenous, you know, to like wear your morral or wear huaraches, or wear, you know, what have you, go to the sweat lodge and do all this stuff that the ancestors did, right? Like, that's foreign to me. To me, it's like, if you're indigenous and you know where you come from, you don't have to wear the huaraches, you don't have to wear the morral, you're from there. Like, you know, like, nobody can tell me that I'm not indigenous, even if I'm like dressed up and dressed and impressed, because I know I'm indigenous, right? So no second, third generation Chicano that was brought up in East LA that reclaims like Aztlan or whatever can tell me that I'm not indigenous, when I know that I'm indigenous. At home, really, like it's where I'm most comfortable, because that's where I was brought up. So even though in my youth and in like my teen years, it was in Los Angeles, just like the it's just like psychological like things that are stuck, that are never gonna go away, like the smells, the scents, the horns honking, the buses, like just like all of that. It's just a bigger city. You know, it's easy to get lost in a big city, whereas there, even the big city is like 100,000 people tops, maybe in like the big city, which is like not even really close to what Los Angeles is. You know, so at least there you have more sense of identity, whereas here it can easily get lost. I remember when I was like younger, like 92, 93, there it was like it was even more like the Oaxacan culture was even more hidden than it is now. But now it's like there's a whole bunch of us here. So like that isolation is gone. You know, like I feel like I was part of that first generation that didn't have anybody to look up to academically. Like we didn't really have the college graduates, right? But like around my like people that are older than me, like say probably now in their like early 30s, right? Like they're all young professionals now. So now you have immediate family members that you can admire and look up to and like kind of have that closeness that you would in the Pueblo, because I know at least from my perspective, they really hold knowledge high, in high regard. Like to have an education is held to a very high regard. So when we were able to get that sense of community and be able to look at people to admire, so that kind of changed within the last like 10 years or so. Like I said, 92, 93, that wasn't there. You were just kind of, not even ashamed to say that you were from Oaxaca, but it was just like, you know, just, I'm Mexican, let's just leave it at that. You know, now it's more like I'm from Oaxaca, and it's just, you're more culturally in tune with your peers, I guess. There's a sociological term, it's called like cultural freeze, where if you like, you leave your town, when you leave that town, you just have that memory of what you left behind. And so you go around telling people, oh, my town, my pueblo, if you only knew that we have these customs, da 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 da. And then you go back like 5 years later and you're like, whoa, they have satellite TV and skateboards and like vans, like that's not what I remember at all. You know, so I feel that it's important to go back every now and then to see these transitions happen, you know, because with more and more that the people grow, it's just like, you see how it changes. So you don't have this romanticized aspect of how the pueblo was when you left it, and you know, like everybody in huaraches and nobody having TVs to everybody with sneakers and everybody watching MTV.
Regatei-nos nos razoar. Eșenac jovenaj, eșenac jovenaj, eșenac jovenaj.